what's happening, about the spread of renewable energy, and about what happens when we don't have enough of it, when we're still burning dirty energy. Joe Dodds, councillor in the Bega Valley Shire Council, she came to national prominence earlier this year in the worst possible way to come to national prominence when her town more or less burned down. And when, at the end of the day, the Prime Minister said he thought it would not be a good moment to talk about climate change, she had the good Australian spunk to say, no, perhaps it would be a good time to talk about climate change just about now. Joe Dodds, please come up.
It's a little bit darker than this. Okay, you already know what I look like, because here I am. I want to first acknowledge the country on which we meet here tonight, Animal Country, and thank Auntie Agnes for that really warm welcome to country. It's so nice to feel like you belong in the country. After a work like that, it really makes me feel grounded that I have the right to stand here and speak and be in this place. And I also want to acknowledge the Aboriginal elders past and present and those to come who've kept this place, held it, been held by it, and known it deeply and cared for it for tens of thousands of years. I also want to acknowledge those who've been fighting to reduce the march of climate change, some for decades. They put sweat and tears and dollars into protecting life on our planet. And I want to acknowledge my colleague Kathy Griff, who's here with us tonight. She's a Greens councillor on the same council as me and has not only had the courage to raise her voice in an often hostile environment, but has enthusiastically supported me in my efforts to do likewise.
Go Joe!
And lastly, I want to acknowledge the work of 350.org and its wonderful staff and its founder, Bill McKinnon. So why am I here? How did I get to be standing on a stage with climate warriors like Bill and our other speakers, heading up organisations that are leading the way in addressing the biggest problem of our time? I'm no one special, just a person who's recently been at the pointy end of climate change, and I'm tired, and I'm pissed off. I'm tired of leaders who don't care enough about us, about this planet to risk their jobs. I've had enough of waiting, had enough of being quiet, had enough of watching the temperature go up and up and up and not hearing sirens. I'm going to cover three main topics tonight. That's going to be my community and what we've achieved, the disaster that recently affected us, and lastly, how our political leaders have responded. I live in the hills behind Tathra, somewhere in that photo actually. And our little town had a big fire some 6 weeks ago. And I come here tonight still feeling the horror of homes burned to the ground, of friends who lost everything but their lives. And I want to share this experience with you. And I want to admit to you that I was asleep at the wheel. I was elected as an independent local government councillor for the Bega Valley Shire nearly 2 years ago. And in that time, I've barely said boo about the issue of climate change. And I should note right now that I'm not actually speaking here tonight as a councillor, but as a citizen. But I have to be honest, people elected me to raise my voice and to raise theirs through mine. That was my promise for it, but I wasn't really living up to it. So let me tell you a bit about my place. Bega Valley Shire. We're about 3 hours southeast of Canberra. We have the most beautiful beaches in the world. We're surrounded by forest in national parks and state forests. We have clean rivers and green dairy pastures and organic vegetable farms and towns and villages We have artists and musicians, and most importantly, good coffee. If you haven't found us already, you really should visit. About 12 years ago, though, we had a stupidly hot New Year's Day. It was so hot you couldn't walk over the sand to the beach. Friends without aircon spent the day under a bridge near the river just to stay cool. My family lay on the raw concrete floor of my half-built house, and my friend Matthew Knott read Tim Flannery's The Weathermakers. He was so alarmed by the confluence of that book and that heat that he decided to act. Matt invited the community to help form a human sign on Tathra Beach. Now, we have a population of around 1,200 people in Tathra. We got over 3,000 people onto the beach that day. And we formed two signs: Clean Energy for Eternity, and then Imagine. And that was so good we built Imagine next out of solar panels, which now power the sewage treatment works in Tathra. We wanted the government to take notice, to sign the Kyoto Protocol, and to invest in renewable energy so that the production of CO2 emitting fossil fuels would be supplanted by things like solar, wind, geothermal and wave energy. And we formed the community group Clean Energy for Eternity. Since that day, Clean Energy for Eternity has raised tens of thousands of dollars and led the way by installing solar panels on surf life-saving clubs throughout New South Wales and beyond. We've also put solar onto every community building in Tathra, onto schools, community halls, rural fire service sheds and more. We've encouraged other communities to join in, to make their own human signs, to raise awareness and money and solar energy to their rooftops. We've got, not quite 100%, but 50-50 by 2020, emblazoned on our water towers, and every second car in the Shire proudly sports a 50-50 by 2020 bumper sticker. We're aiming for a 50% reduction in consumption of energy and 50% production of energy from renewable sources by 2020. And it's been bloody awesome. But then on March the 18th, this year, something we didn't deserve happened. Before I go into too much detail here, I want to acknowledge the Canberra fires of 2013, which destroyed so many homes and took 3 lives. I realise that some of you may have been personally impacted by those fires. My description of our fire and the images that accompany it may be a reminder of previous trauma, so please look after yourselves. At around 12:30 p.m, a bushfire started on a hill at the end of my road. By 6 p.m, 69 homes were gone. It was a catastrophe of unprecedented proportions for our town. It was also a miracle in that no human lives were lost. The whole streets are gone, and my community is still in shock. I was on my way back home from Cooma, so I drove straight to the river and waited. My partner Tony set up hoses and sprinklers around our house. He threw the doormats into the open grass. He started the water pumps, grabbed the dog, and evacuated to join me at the boat ramp just outside Tathra. And that's actually us on the ramp. We parked in the big car park where it felt safe because the river is wide and deep. We could see our home upriver nestled low in the forest. We could see the soaring plumes of smoke straight ahead. They became a great wall of smoke, thickening and widening, with so many beautiful colours: dense grey, cloud white, lit with pink and orange from within. This was the forest burning. At intervals, sudden columns of black smoke rose up, and each column was the end of a car, a shed, and a home. These columns marched slowly towards us like the footfalls of some giant beast. I hoped that my neighbours had escaped in time as I watched the black smoke rise from their homes. The fire had also leaped across the hills and into Tathra, and there were more black columns. A string of cars appeared out of the smoke and came over the bridge. I saw a four-wheel drive so packed with people that they were pressed to the windows. Another vehicle towed a large open boat, and in the boat sat adults and children, their faces slapped with shock. These people were fleeing from something so awful they were prepared to put their kids in a boat being towed on the open road. The horror of what all refugees go through was suddenly in my town, and these refugees were my community. The wind was a blowtorch. It caused the river to rise in waves which chopped against the riverbank. 30 or 40 people gathered in the car park. We watched the growing wall of smoke. We checked our phones, we talked, we paced, we hoped. The adrenaline was extreme. I watched my little home in the distance, inside it everything I own. No time to go back now for all the things that were left behind. I thought of my journals. I've been writing them for 40 years. They've made me a writer, the thing I most want to be. They are the stories, the record of my life, of my friends and family, all the things we've endured and struggled with, all the reckoning and resolution I've sweated on, and all I can think is, I've worked out so much of my shit in those books. If they burn, what do? Start from scratch. And I thought of all the other history, my great-grandmother's clock, the golden ruby ring that belonged to my grandma, the photos, the poetry, the letters, the tea sets and recipes, the old buttons, the favourite dress, the stories and the shoes and the pot plants, the rugs and the books, and the journals. Again, the journals. These are the things which locate us, which are the memory aids, the proof of life. They're just things, sure. And yes, everything is temporary. But to lose it all in one go is to lose your compass. In the end, Tony and I were lucky. The fire reached our property and I got ready to lose everything, ready for my improved view of the moon. And then the forecasted cool change came. The smoke settled. We waited 30 minutes more and then crept back to our perfect little house. And another 380 homes in Tathra and surrounds were also saved, as well as infrastructure like our historic wharf. But 69 homes, and 30 cabins, and caravans, and many more sheds and cars were lost. My friend Yanni lost her home. She had time to pack her daughter's precious things, but no time for her own. She lost all of her writing, all of her stories of her family and forebears, the workings out, the celebrations, the growing into self. She ran barefoot when the fire rose above her home, and now it's just a pile of twisted tin. My neighbour Jan lost her home. She had a collection of family antiques in a rambling mud brick house where she's hosted many legendary dinner parties. She and her husband and son left with nothing. She told me that every day now she thinks of reaching for this familiar thing or that she used to own when she cries again. John tells me that he has no work history now. It's just charred sheaves in a warped filing cabinet. And young Evan can hardly talk about losing his grandfather's watch. That night I watched the PM on the telly, speaking during his visit to the evacuation centre. He looked stricken, but then he was about to get his 30th negative news poll. I imagine he had his own firestorm brewing back in the party room. And here's what he said, partly in response to Greens leader Richard Di Natale's observation that the Tathra fire was a climate change-related event. This is not the time to politicise a disaster like this. And you can't attribute to any particular event, whether it's a flood or fire, or it's a drought or storm, to climate change. We are the land of droughts and flooding rains. We're the land of bushfires. Nature hurls her worst at Australians and has for always, and always will and always has. I went to bed. At 4:45, in the pitch dark, I woke up with the words that always will ringing in my head. What the hell did the PM think he was doing? Coming to Tathra, to my town, to a town that has fought so hard and given so much already to fighting climate change. What did he think he was doing coming here and saying that? The PM had not just joined the queue of people who quote Dorothea McKellar as if she's some kind of anti-climate science clairvoyant, but he had condemned us to doing nothing to prevent the next fire and the one after that, to preventing the fires that will come hotter and harder and more frequently and that will surely kill people. This is about climate change, not bush poetry. Because our fire did not happen in mid-summer. It happened in mid-bloody March. There were 10 other fires in the valley on that day. Sydney and Bega broke the records with their hottest ever March day. And if March isn't convincing enough, here's the temperature a month later, on the 18th of April on the south coast. And here's the fires near Meat listing for New South Wales around the same time, with 48 fires. Some of them hazard reduction burns, but most of them not. By sunrise, I'd sent letters to the editors of local and state newspapers. Then I grabbed my dog and went into the forest behind our house where the fire burned hot and hard, and all of my landmarks are gone. There I propped my iPhone on a tree branch and I started filming. I absolutely gave it to the Prime Minister. When I finished recording, I took the phone back out of the tree and looked at the dog. And I could see him thinking, I don't know what that tree did. It's in big trouble. So what's going on here? Why can't I talk about climate change right now while my boots are covered in ash and my clothes smell of smoke? When you stand in front of the terrible reality of a hotter, drier, windier Australia, when you see it consume the homes of your friends, I don't think you have a right. I think you have a moral responsibility to speak up. And anyone who says it's too soon, I'm not the only person who observed that that's like the NRA telling young Americans that the day after a school shooting is not the time to talk about gun control. And I will keep asking for meetings with government leaders of all stripes. My federal member, Dr. Mike Kelly's office, has been in contact and made a meeting date. I will bring them news from the front line of climate change. I will tell them how it feels when it's your home in the firing line and your grandkids running from the fire. Again, I'm just one more small person, but I will offer to stand by any leader who realises that good leadership is not about popularity. It's about figuring out what is the right thing to do and doing everything in your power to make it happen. And I'll finish with this. I need your help, and my friends need your help, to stop the destruction of our communities. I want to bury fossil fuels, not friends. Bill will tell you a bit more about how and when and where we do this, but speak up, contact your representatives, tell them what you want and tell them what you don't want. We live in a democracy, so let's use it. And remember, they're useful and beautiful things like these people and like my dad. Thank you.